Good morning, good afternoon, and good night to you, depending on when you're listening to this. Welcome to week 8 of the second quarter Sabbath School Lesson, where we'll continue to discuss the promise, God's everlasting covenant. This week, we take a look at the agreement and the law of God. The reading for Sunday, May 16th, 2021 is God chooses Israel. Deuteronomy 7 verse 7 from the English Standard Version. It was not because you were more in number than any other people that the Lord set his love on you and chose you, for you were the fewest of all peoples. Deuteronomy 7 verse 7 from the New Living Translation. The Lord did not set his heart on you and choose you because you were more numerous than other nations, for you were the smallest of all nations. A Jewish story from long ago tells us why God made his agreement with Israel. The story says that God offered his agreement to the people of other countries first, but these countries rejected the offer from God. So God offered his agreement to Israel. The Bible does not show us any proof for this idea, but the story helps us understand an important Bible truth about the choice God makes. God chooses Israel not because of anything Israel does to earn the love or favor of God. Israel does not do anything that makes them worthy of being the people of God. The Israelites are few in number. They are slaves when God chooses them. They are not a strong country. Plus, their religion, art, and other ways of life are not important to other people living at the time. So God chooses Israel because God loves them and shows them his mercy. We need to be careful when we study this idea about the choice of God. If we are not careful, we can end up misunderstanding important Bible truth about God himself. So we must ask ourselves the right questions to help us understand the choice God makes. What does God choose Israel for? Does God choose Israel because he wants to save only them and no one else on earth? Or does God choose Israel to help him offer the people on earth the gift of mercy that God offers Israel first? How do the following verses help us to understand the answers to these questions? Exodus 19 verse 6, ESV. And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the people of Israel. Exodus 19 verse 6 from the NLT. And you will be my kingdom of priests, my holy nation. This is the message you must give to the people of Israel. Isaiah 56 verse 7, ESV. These I will bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted on my altar, for my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples. Isaiah 56 verse 7, NLT. I will bring them to my holy mountain of Jerusalem, and will fill them with joy in my house of prayer. I will accept their burnt offerings and sacrifices, because my temple will be called a house of prayer for all nations. Hebrews 2 verse 9. But we see him who for a little while was made lower than the angels, namely Jesus, crowned with glory and honor because of the suffering of death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. Hebrews 2 verse 9, NLT. What we do see is Jesus, who for a little while was given a position a little lower than the angels. And because he suffered death for us, he is now crowned with glory and honor. Yes, by God's grace, Jesus tasted death for everyone. As Seventh-day Adventists, we believe that God chose us to share special Bible truth, the same as he chose Israel. God chose our church to share the messages of the three angels. We believe that we have a message no one else has. In this way, we are the same as Israel in Bible times. God gave Israel a special message to share with everyone on earth. Today, God chooses our church to do the same thing. What can you do to help finish the work that God gave our church to do on this earth? Thanks for checking out today's lesson. Depending on when you're listening to this, good morning, good evening, and good night.